What's happening, guys? This is House Cat MMA, and right now I'm going to be going over my top 5 flyweight goats in the UFC. But before I get into all that, if you would just take a second to like and subscribe, maybe do a little bit of comment and sharing, that should be cool as fuck. I wanted my cat Hodor to make a cameo, but he wallered out of my hands and scratched the piss out of me, and now he's on my dresser knocking shit over and looking like he's about to turn my TV over. He's just being very uncooperative, being a burden to production. So if you hear any weird sounds going on, that is my cat being uncooperative. So in the flyweight goats list, Demetrius Johnson is number one, obviously. With his 11 title defenses, he knocked out Henry Cejudo in the first round, knocked out Joseph Benavidez in the first round, beat Benavidez twice, once by decision, once by knockout. He beat John Dodson twice, there for a good little while, 6-7 years. Nobody could hang with his shit. And he was doing shit that nobody had seen before, like suplexing dudes into arm bars and just all sorts of shit. I remember when he made his WEC debut in 2010, the WEC and the UFC did this thing where they kind of merged events, where it was a WEC event, but it's Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg in the commentator booth. And Demetrius Johnson was fighting Brad Pickett, and was doing well, but he was losing. And Rogan was saying that if they made a 125-pound weight division, that Demetrius Johnson would be hell on wheels. And 2 years later, that's what they did. They made a flyweight division, and Rogan kind of called that. That shit was cool as fuck. And now we got number 2 being Alexandre Pantoja, who is 14-4 in the UFC. Just got done losing his belt to Joshua Van. He beat Brandon Moreno twice. He beat Brandon Royval twice. Was pretty much out wrestling everybody there for a good little minute. Was sold as being on the same level as Demetrius Johnson for a couple of months, and which, I mean, he wasn't. But if he defended his title a couple more times, I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that statement. But Joshua Van kind of fucked that up for him. And number 3, we got Henry Cejudo, who only defended his flyweight belt once, beating TJ Dillashaw. But when he beat TJ Dillashaw and Demetrius Johnson and Dominic Cruz, that kind of solidifies you as number 3 on the 125-pound GOAT list. I think he kind of made a mistake coming back after his retirement, since he kind of went 0-4, losing to Aljamain Sterling, Merab Dvalishvili, Peyton Talbot, and Song Yadong. That wasn't really a great career move on his part, but hey, can't fault a man for trying. And number 4 is Brandon Moreno, who beat Deiveson Figueiredo for the belt initially, and then he lost to Deiveson, and then he beat Deiveson, and there was a draw in there too. They fought 4 times. He kind of struggled at first when he got to the UFC, losing to Sergio Pettis and Alexandre Pantoja, and fighting Askar Askarov to a draw, but he's since done well. So that puts him at number 4, his rivalry against Deiveson, and though he has struggled recently, he is still ranked number 5 at flyweight. And number 5, obviously, is Deiveson Figueiredo, who they just had this thing where they kept on beating and losing to each other and having draws. They fought 4 times. Initially, Figueiredo beat Benavidez for the belt. It was a vacant belt, and since Figueiredo missed weight, which he did like to do, and there was a headbutt in the mix when the first time Benavidez and Figueiredo fought, they decided to have a rematch, and Figueiredo put a borderline criminal beatdown on Benavidez the second time they fought. And then, Moreno and Figueiredo had the rivalry. Moreno winning twice, and then there being a draw in the mix, and Figueiredo beating Moreno once, if I'm not mistaken. That's how it went. And since, struggling a little bit at 125, Figueiredo has started fighting at 135 and has done pretty well. That's pretty much all I have on the 125-pound goats list. It's kind of, since 125 doesn't really have that much of a history. It's only a 13-and-a-half-year-old weight class. You know, you got the obvious number one, but after that, I mean, I guess Pantoja is a fairly obvious number two. And then you got Cejudo. I was going to put Cejudo down at number 5, but when I thought about it, when you beat, I mean, who in the world has beat TJ Dillashaw, Demetrius Johnson, and Dominic Cruz? I mean, nobody's ever done that, so that puts him at number 3. Moreno being a little better than Deveson puts him at number 4, and Figueiredo being not quite as good as Moreno puts him at number 5. But that's a hard one. I am now going to go down the list of the women's weight class goats in weeks to come. But just, you know, if you want to, tell me what you thought of this video in the comments, and also perhaps tell me some ideas that you might have for me to make videos on. I'm all ears. But this is House Cat MMA, and I will catch y'all later.